I want to have a candid conversation with you for a second. Hopefully, this mic works. You've seen some of my content. I'm Sean. Hi. But it's been so long that we've had like a real conversation, contextually about like where I got started, how I learned it all, what that means for you, and kind of what that means for you in 2024 as well. If you've got properties or you're looking to pick up properties for short-term rentals, you're seeing a lot of content, and I think we have to have a real conversation because there's elephants in the room and I want to address them. So the first thing is I'm not a real estate guy, but I think a lot of you guys know that. My start came from being in the newspaper industry. There's no connection, but I'll tell you how that worked. I was an emo kid in music school, and my drummer talked me into taking a sales job. And that sales job was selling newspaper subscriptions. And it was like the first time I was ever really good at something. And so I stuck at it. And then 2009, after dropping out of school, I took a sales management position in Houston, but failed at that. And that's when I went homeless, which some of you also know that story. I got evicted. That eviction and going homeless was crucial to my success because it was like the first time that I had to kind of like break all the delusional, like I need somebody to think that I'm good enough kind of mentality. And it forced me to rely on myself and start a company. And I started a business selling newspaper subscriptions, very much like I did before, just not working for someone else, working directly with papers. Now that became a good, big, fat company. It was my first 7-figure business. And I started relocating salespeople to Houston, and I had this idea to give them free places to stay, to kind of streamline their sales, just focus on selling. So I furnished some apartments and let people stay for 8 weeks for free to settle in. And then I was expecting them to continue to pay rent in the same units that I got for them, but that wasn't actually how that worked. Some people moved back, like to Michigan, broke up with their girlfriends, whatever. So I had these empty apartments, and I'm eating the loss. I'm just eating these rents for like 3 months, just paying them. And somebody mentioned that they stayed in an Airbnb one weekend, and that's kind of when it clicked that there was a way to utilize these outside of my company, right? And then I put them on Airbnb, but I didn't think a lot of it because I was still so convinced that newspapers were going to be my thing. Airbnb was just a way to save myself from losing money. The units were instantly profitable. So much so that I put my own property on Airbnb, the one that I stayed at. And so when all 3 of my apartments were booked, including my home, I would sleep in the back seat of my car, in the parking garage of my apartment complex. And that's how I was making it work. I'm cleaning my own units and then going out in the evenings and doing my newspaper management stuff. So I was like double timing. So I started my business while also being completely headlong, confident that newspapers were going to stay in business and I was going to keep my career in that. So yeah, not how that worked. But then the Super Bowl came to Houston, 2017. And there were articles saying that people are going to charge $1,000 a night for their places. And I'm like, well, that's a lot of money. I should get more properties. So I got up to 10 apartments before the Super Bowl hit. I made like $15,000 net income my one weekend of the Super Bowl. And that's finally when I decided I was going to give this whole short-term rentals thing a chance. That was also right around I started teaching, Airbnb videos on YouTube. The reason why is my best friend was a real estate agent, and he was arguing with his friends about cash flow and debt pay down, and I'm like, I'm making $30,000 a month on Airbnb and I don't own anything. So I started doing videos to try to prove that you did not have to own real estate to do Airbnb. But that's also where my reputation became very quickly defined as the arbitrage guy. But a lot of you who've seen my content see that I do videos on furnishing, pricing strategy, the algorithm, guest experience, all sorts of stuff. I even wrote a book right here called The Revenue Manager's Handbook. It's a book on pricing strategy. I'm probably the best in the world at this topic, and I've been paid to sit in on hotel panels, and I've been paid to do talks on the Airbnb algorithm, all sorts of stuff, not just picking up properties through arbitrage. I even consult for real estate trusts, and they buy thousands of doors, and they need like really high-level stuff. So, but over the last 7 years, my being able to do that came from teaching on YouTube. I really only grew my Airbnb business because I said I would on YouTube. It's kind of really fun. So we got up to a little over 100 doors during COVID. We ended up having to survive that with over 100 doors exposed. And to not get too ADHD, guys, I'm going to try to stay on track, I promise. I am very much ADHD, and I think that's also a big important part of this. I'm not a real estate guy. I went homeless to start my first business. I'm ADHD. This used to be easy. 2014 and 15, I suck at interior design. My places look super ugly, and we all joke about this now today, but you could put a mattress on the floor, and people would pay for it, and they would give you a 5-star review. That's how easy it was back then. But then when COVID hit, right, it became so easy again because of something called revenge travel. People just were jumping in. And because of that, it gave Airbnb a lot of popularity. And a lot of investors came in because they saw the money look good and they wanted a piece of it. And I don't mean this offensively, but these investors were soft investors, passive investors. So we have two people that started going out of business after COVID, and you've seen it in the news. These billion-dollar companies that raised hundreds of millions of dollars, and then the soft investors that have like co-hosts and wanted passive properties in Sedona, Arizona, or Joshua Tree. And a lot of these people are feeling the squeeze, the margin compression. And they're going out of business for two different reasons, but still a very basic, similar reason. I want to explain this because whether or not you continue to do short-term rentals or start is kind of based on how well you can navigate this, okay? The billion-dollar companies wanted to build a tech company, have a tech multiple. Sonder went public at over $1.8 billion. That's a ton of money. They don't own a single property, but they made a killing. And everybody wanted to do the same. Pick up apartments, have an app, and sell for $1 billion. Now, because of that, they were buying expensive furniture, paying too much for rent, had expensive engineers making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to write an app that had nothing to do with how you made the money. And then the real estate investors who looked at everything through the lens of real estate was like, the cash is going to be so good that we can pay a co-host 25%. And just like a property manager, there's going to be nothing really important to know about this, right? That's what they thought. Let's just pay the co-host 25%, and the cash flow is just going to be better. They did not know that they could choose the wrong co-host. They did not know that co-hosts would have to change with the times. They did not understand that they were getting involved in a business and they were trusting a business partner with 25% of their top line revenue. So a lot of people started to die off. Not everybody though. There are good co-hosts and there are good neighborhoods still, but that margin compression, people who didn't see it coming just got kind of put down. And that's created a really, really cool space for us now. Like my company's been in the game over 8 years and we're just kind of floating along because we've focused on the basics. And this is one of the key takeaways here. This is not real estate and it's business basics that will make you a lot of money. We have a property, somebody stays, we clean it, somebody stays again, we clean it. We make sure the place is ready and nice and someone enjoys their experience. And we have to do this all at a responsible internal price so we can have margin when we charge them their price. That's it. Like charge more than it costs you to run this thing and you're fine. And the business basics of that are don't overspend on furniture or housekeeping, anything, right? And I teach all of that. And a lot of you have seen a lot of those videos, very much free. How to do pricing, how to furnish, how to hire housekeepers, how to send messages, some automation stuff, all sorts of stuff on YouTube for free. But there might be a point where you're sitting here looking at an ocean of free information, mine and other people's, and you're still trying to figure this thing out. And there might be some reasons why you're not connecting enough to be as successful as you want to be. A lot of you have success. A lot of my current students are Airbnb hosts before they ever find my content, for example, right? Some of you have properties and they're either not making enough or you just want them to make more or you want more properties. Some of you don't have any. And I consult for a range of people and you're somewhere here on the spectrum, and I want to give you two extreme examples. There's the real estate trusts that are buying thousands of doors and they need to know how to build an internal short-term rental company to run their own doors. And I consult for them on that. How to run 1,000 houses internally without ever needing someone like me to do it for 25%. And then over here, we've got the engineers and the doctors who make hundreds of thousands, and the lawyers, right? I've got testimonials of lawyers, engineers, everybody on this side. Very much smart people who don't have the time to sit through 30 hours of free content that then read between the lines and build out their own SOPs. And so they reach out and go, Sean, I want to do short-term rentals. I want to have the real estate and I want it to make more money and I want to do it yesterday. And I know I'm smart. I know I can learn it, but I don't have the time to go through your fun content, your tips and all this stuff. And so they come on board and they have me push them one-on-one through a very specific path based around them. And this is the part that I think is going to be really important. The doctor, I'll give him different advice than I give the engineer, which I give different advice than I give the real estate trust, which is different than I give you who doesn't even have a couple $1,000 for their first Airbnb property, or which is what I give you, the person who has 2 Airbnb properties, and you don't really know quite how to get that to 5 houses. You know you want to own 5, but you don't know how to get there. Before I answer your problem, like if we were having a candid conversation just like this on Zoom, which I do every week, right? And we're just talking just like this. And you tell me, here's my problem. I don't know what to do. I've got a problem with my calendar. Or I've got a problem with landlords not letting me Airbnb. Or I've got a problem with my house is just not quite making as much money as it did 2 years ago and I don't get it, right? Before I answer your problem, I'm going to ask about you. I'm going to get to know you and where you're from, what your biases are, what your strengths are. Then we look at your problem. And the advice that I give you one-on-one is going to be so unique that I could not make a free YouTube video for that. The free content that I have is broadly applicable. As much of a niche as this is, I still have to make videos that everybody can take something from. And so if you find that you're not getting the traction from free content, it may be because your situation is actually that unique or your learning style is different than YouTube videos. And for that reason, you might want to have a conversation like this with me. And so for that reason, I want to say something. I want to kind of make you a promise. I am the best in the world, the best coach in this space. 8 out of every 10 coaches that you meet have learned from me. I am so good at this that I can promise you that I can solve your problems or I can grow your business, whatever your desire is. And if I can't give you results, you don't pay. I will work with you like this. I will bust my ass for your success. And if I fail, you don't pay. It doesn't matter if you have FaceTime with me like this. I'll make sure that you succeed. And I hope that you've seen enough of my free content to know that I have the range of knowledge and experience, not just as an Airbnb host, but as a business owner, right? That you can trust that I'm going to work hard, bare minimum. So if you're shopping around for a solution and you can't find it through free content, call my team, work with my team to get on board to calls to work with me. I do them every Saturday, every Wednesday. I've got a coaching team of 6 other coaches. Some are accountants, others are 7-figure hosts. We've got interior designers. We've got a business credit specialist. We've got a whole team of coaches. But beyond that team of coaches that are always available, I am also available. And I would like you to be open-minded to the concept that you are sitting here watching this video now after watching a bunch of other videos, and you don't know what it is that you're missing. And I can't yet tell you what it is that you're missing because I don't know you yet. But I'd like to get to know you, and I'd like to be your coach if you're looking for a coach. So I'm going to leave a link down in the bottom, comment somewhere else. You also just go rakidzich.com/superhost. And you can talk to my team about whether or not coaching with me is the right fit. But yeah, I am the best in the world, and that will sound like a cocky statement, but it's true, and I'll prove it to you. So I'll see you in one of my coaching calls soon. Thank you so much, guys, and as always, I'll see you on the other side.